What up, y'all? We are going to continue with those NFL draft storylines. But on today's episode, we focus on the Arizona Cardinals, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Seattle Seahawks. Who are the top prospects for the Arizona Cardinals? Should the Cincinnati Bengals draft an edge and then trade Trey Hendrickson or keep them both? And is Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas, the perfect fit for Seattle? Y'all know me and Steve are going to talk about it and break it down right after this.
Welcome to your number one spot for all NFL news and content, NFL Central.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back into another episode of NFL Central, your number one spot for everything NFL. I'm your host here, Bobby, joined by my host, Stevo. What's the word, my guy?
What's good? What's good?
Man, so if y'all tuned in with us today, make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. The steam is picking up, and we getting closer and closer to one of the best days in NFL offseason, the NFL draft. Today's episode, we're going to focus on the Arizona Cardinals to kick things off. Stevo, thinking about the Arizona Cardinals, you know what I'm saying? You look at the offense. They got a decent coach over there. You're looking at Kyler Murray. You got James Conner coming out of the backfield, Marvin Harrison Jr. on the wide, and then you just made Trey McBride the highest paid tight end in the league. But they still got a lot of work to do so they can compete in that NFC West, because it's going to be a battle between those teams in the West, and it's always a battle. But in your mind, what are some of the best prospects out there for the Arizona Cardinals?
I got four. Will Johnson, quarterback. Kenneth Grant, D tackle. James Pierce Jr. and Josh Simmons.
Ooh.
Those are my four. Now, three of those people are defense, because as you can tell, if anything, out of all the things they need to address this offseason first, is that defense.
Facts.
We've seen them play a lot of competitive games. They stick with it, but at the end of the day, they just don't have enough talent on their defensive side. They're coached well, and you could tell by they sure up tackles. They don't really let big plays happen. And no matter what team they go up against, the talent they go against, they fight to the very end, and they'll lose by 7 or 10 points. It's never by a big margin, which is evident that they need talent on their defensive side of the ball. That's why I looked at Will. That secondary need help. Will Johnson can come there in the next 2 years, establish himself as the number one cornerback over there, and possibly establish himself one of the best young quarterbacks in the league at the time. That's going to be difficult because there's a lot of young quarterbacks out there gunning, especially in that conference. But I think that's something that can be had. Kenneth, he's more of my number one, more than two. He's kind of Kenneth and Will, kind of like my 1A, 1B. Kenneth is they D tackle. They need a D tackle. It's just simple as that. They need a lot of shit on that D line. But Kenneth is somebody that not only can give you consistent pressure, nobody is running through y'all with him on that line if he's
Oh
healthy.
my God.
He's just a magnet when it comes to that. He knows where the ball is going to be at. He knows what running back, what hole they want to attack, and he just knows where to be. So Kenneth out of Michigan, Kenneth Grant is the second. Third, James Pierce Jr. He's the guy that for some reason he's sliding, and he's sliding a lot. I think it has a lot to do with his like physical traits. He's not the biggest guy. He's on this like the slender side, but when it comes to the quickness and the production, I think he went from 13 to 8 sacks.
Yeah.
Now that's a dip, but just still end up getting 8 sacks in the SEC, and then having 13 the previous year. That shows he got some legitimate talent, and if he just get bigger, which everybody does when they come to the league, he can be your edge for the foreseeable future. And then Josh Simmons is just somebody that can just you compare next to Paris Johnson. The line they got is okay, but like I said, with kind of like with the Bears, they had the opportunity to shore up their O line for years to come. So I think Josh Simmons is the last person they should be looking at.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie to you. That was a surprise with bringing up Josh Simmons, and we already had these type of discussions too, and on all the places that we be talking sports and stuff. And pretty much was like, bro, if Josh Simmons didn't go down with that knee injury, he probably would be the best left tackle in this damn draft. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And Will Campbell would be a close second. But the injury is there, and that is a concern that teams should have, and rightfully so. I think that was a hell of that's a hell of a prospect for them, especially after last year you selecting Paris Johnson, and now you continue to bolster up that offensive line. But I think, to your point earlier on, you got to shore up that defense. These guys in the Arizona Cardinals last season went 8-9. They were 6-3 at home and 2-6 on the road. That tells me when you got when you're at a disadvantage in somebody else's house, you can't get the quarterback on the ground. You look at those
Off the field. Mhm.
these guys got to go out there and fill up the sack sheet if that even make a lot of sense. But I like the prospects that you put out there, but I'm gonna just add on a couple more and Walter Nolan. I think that'll be a hell of a selection for them if they can go out there and get it. I like James Pierce Jr. a lot. And I don't understand why he's sliding.
Facts.
Your point, probably because of the dip. But if you look at defensive tackles like a Walter Nolan, who did a top 30 visit with him, or Kenneth Grant, you need pressure inside the interior. And then you can, for me personally, and then you can try to focus on those edges a little bit more. And if they want to go out there and start building out that secondary, I think the smartest way to build it is from inside out. Y'all see the logo on the hat. We seen our team build outside in, and
Like a
we was
motherfucker.
frustrated like a mud. We was frustrated like a mud. Now, I will say this: I am a Michigan fan, and I do like Will Johnson. That man is a ball hawk. If you think you gonna not throw power between that out route, that curl route, that screen route, oh, it's getting jumped and it's going the other way for 6. That man, Will Johnson, at I got him probably number 1, and that's probably me being a
Mhm.
homer for the cornerbacks coming into this league. But to the earlier point, I say you got to go out there and address the interior D line, and then you can start building outwards to that secondary and stuff because you need pressure, you need run stoppers to give yourself an opportunity to make the game dirty. Yeah,
Mhm.
sometimes you got to win ugly in this league, and every game matters. But just to add context for those that are wondering, some of those prospects that the Arizona Cardinals brought in for top 30 visits, they talked to Walter Nolan, Trey Amos out of Ole Miss, that's a cornerback, Will Johnson, James Pierce, and Michael Williams out of Georgia, which is a really good list of prospects to bring in for their organization.
I like Michael for them too.
Me too. I think that you got to get some rough riders up front. That's why it's strange for me for James Pierce to be kind of slipping at least in some of these mocks because it's like I understand some of the questions about the physical traits and all that stuff and the dip from the previous years, but if you watch him play, just watch the film. You see a guy that's coming with a bunch of toughness, a bunch of ferocity, a bunch of power and
Speed.
speed. He does. He like every other prospect. They're gonna need work, but you cannot ignore what he was able to do at Tennessee.
Yep.
So that's gonna be an
Because
interesting.
I know what it is. Jalen Walker just shot the hell up. And I'm
Yeah,
like, out of everybody, that motherfucker might be the biggest project.
maybe, and I think that's a good point too because if you look at him in Georgia, Jalen Walker was a guy that lined up at linebacker and on the edge. So
Hmm.
I understand the versatility to that, but you still got to be able to figure out where he's going to be best fit,
And
where
I
he's
was
going to be
just
the
about
best
to
fit
say,
for your team.
and just like the old people used to say, he a little, in my opinion, for if he gonna, a lot of people talking about he might put his hand in that dirt. He a little light in his ass to be putting his hand in that dirt. So that's all I'm saying.
For real, but I do like the versatility aspect, and I think that was a great point for what you said for him kind of moving up the charts because that versatility is something that you can utilize. Because I remember a mug that gave my team hell because how versatile he was, and Clay Matthews. Oh my God, was he a fucking problem for my
See,
Chicago
fucking
Bears, bro?
blonde hair in the wind, constant.
A problem. Was good at coverage, and when it was time to rush the passer, he was a problem. So we'll see if Jaylen Walker, I ain't gonna say put him up and put that type of pressure on him, but we'll see what he turns out to be in this NFL with that type of versatility.
Nah, for real.
For sure. But we moving on now to the Cincinnati Bengals. Steve-O, we already didn't talk extensively about the Cincinnati Bengals team and the negotiations and the signings and all the things that they done. It's kind of being rumored that if they go out and select a edge early on, Trey Hendrickson can be traded. Now, it won't. I would say, why wouldn't you just go overkill and try to figure it out with him? And then if you get, let's just say for the sake of discussion,
Could that
a
bridge already
Michael Williams, a James Pierce Jr., and pair them up with Trey Hendrickson, that's a vicious pass rush coming off the edges for me. So how would you pivot in this? Would you be more so in tune with looking at Cincinnati, well, drafting the edge and then trading for maybe additional capital, or would you be looking to pair Trey Hendrickson up with a young edge?
I mean, I don't know because you don't know what's his feelings towards the organization. Him
Fair
being
enough.
Trey Hendricks, I think based on everything I've heard up until this point, it looks like that bridge is burnt a little bit.
Ooh.
So like regardless of the fact, I'm walking out with an edge at this pick, regardless. If we traded him or not, I'm walking out with an edge. But yeah, I think the what you want is to work it out and have him next to him. But I just don't think the likelihood of that happening is super high. So I'm going to give somebody like I'm talking if Mike Green available,
Ooh.
come on.
Ooh. Man, Mike Green is a monster. Oh my God. You talk about moves galore. You talking about power, strength, pure pass rush. Come on, y'all.
Bend all the above.
Yes, bro. Mike Green, boy, for that. And that's why it'd be intriguing for me to try to patch it up with Trey Hendrickson. For those that are wondering and have not been following closely with the Cincinnati Bengals, Trey Hendrickson just called them out like a week ago, maybe like a week or two ago. He called out the organization for some of their negotiation talks that have been taking place or have not been taking place. And I say to Steve-O's point, we don't know what the bridge looks like. We don't know if it's completely burnt down or if it's still got a few planks on the bridge. But if you the Cincinnati Bengals and you can snatch up Mike Green, you got to have a conversation with Trey Hendrickson. Like, look, man, I understand you got 1 year left. Can we take care of you next offseason, or can we give you an extension for 1 more year down the line? I'm pretty sure he's not going to be on board for that 1 year additional, year, because he's in his 30s. He's going to want some type of longevity
This is
behind that
last
next
time
contract.
this is
Yeah,
last
it's
time.
really like the last chance to make a bag. So they going to have to patch it up, because if I'm the GM, I'm trying to pair Mike Green up. That's a perfect player for the Cincinnati Bengals. A Mike Green and a Trey Hendrickson pass rush. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but we also gotta look at the point that them niggas need some old line helps too.
Facts.
So I'll be looking at Tyler Booker too.
Oh, you definitely want to keep that interior O-line solidified for Joe Burrow, because it was crazy to see Joe Burrow go out there and lead that team to the Super Bowl with that bad of an O-line. You ain't gonna see that too often. That's kind of like an outlier, and you're gonna have to build it up so you can give this quarterback who's on a Hall of Fame trajectory a solid chance, so you can bring a ring back to Cincy. And you're not doing that if you ain't bolstering up that offensive line, because we
Absolutely
know
not.
how great Patrick Mahomes is, and we seen how a bad O-line cost him 2 more rings. So get it together, because Pat Mahomes could be what, 5 rings right now? It'll be
5 rings
crazy.
in, yep.
They cost him 2. They cost him 2, Steve-O.
They did. He was running for his goddamn life.
Bro, this man was out there laying out horizontally in the air, throwing the
And
ball.
still almost got that pass off. I was like, damn.
It was crazy. But man, let us know how y'all feeling about Cincy, man. All right, last topic of the day. We talking about the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Steve-O is just one of the mock drafts that I ran past, and I'm like, this is interesting. So the first part of the question, we're gonna discuss the first part, and then we'll talk about the second, which I think is a better solution. But the first part of it is some people that have chalked up their mock draft believes that Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas, is the perfect fit for Seattle. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you ain't got no damn receivers. Yeah. And he's easily to me the best wide receiver in out the bunch. So yeah, go get him. You lost Tyler and DK.
Facts.
You need to definitely go get a goddamn wide receiver. And I understand you got some other needs on both sides of the ball, which is true. But at the end of the day, like whoever their quarterback is needs somebody to throw to.
Yeah, Sam
And y'all
Darnold.
have no black. Like that's what I'm saying. If anything, Seattle need to learn from the Patriots the last few years. Having nobody to throw to is just a death sentence. So
Yeah.
get somebody up here, whether that's him, even if one of these tight ends slide, whether that's the Michigan tight end or Tyler Warren, which I don't think is going to slide all the way to 18. But if you need some form of a weapon, wide receiver, tight end, something.
I agree with that. I think it'll be a good fit for the Seattle Seahawks just because Jackson Smith and Jigba can't do it by
That's
himself.
it. That's it.
And Sam Darnold not going to be able to do it by himself. And I know they got guys like Noah Fant coming out of the tight end slot. And I think he's, a solid one.
Solid.
You know what I'm saying? But it's not game changing, as I would say. I ain't going to try to crap on him. But I think you got to go out there and to get additional talent. But Stevo, here's the other solution, according to Mel Kiper, that I think is probably the better solution. You let me know how you feel about it. So Mel Kiper had the Seattle Seahawks first selecting Kelvin Banks Jr. and then in the second round selecting Jaden Higgins. Kelvin Banks Jr., only 3 sacks given up in 42 games in his collegiate career. And last year, Jaden Higgins had 1,100 yards and 87 receptions. You like that solution a little bit better, or you still you feel like that first solution is better?
No, the second one is better. You need to, of course. I mean, I understand you need some wide receivers, like I said previously, but everybody know trenches trumps everything. So if you go get you a certified left tackle for the near future, you go do that. And Jaden Higgins is a quality second round wide receiver. Got good size, 6'4", 216. I'll say he's not a DK, but he can do similar things that DK can do. Maybe a little bit more fundamentally sound. Um, and of course, that's because he stayed in school one more year compared to what a DK did. But yeah, 6'4", 214, got good hands, athletic scores pretty high. His total score was in the 80s. He ran a 4.47, which is pretty fast for his size. A 38-inch vertical, which is ideal. So yeah, I liked everything I've seen. He's definitely 100% a second round pick. So yeah, I would consider the second point.
Yeah, bro. I think that'll be a good way to go because not only do you need wide receivers, you need to make sure Sam Darnold can be able to stand up in the pocket and do what he does best. Now, it ain't a great sample size of Sam Darnold, but we've seen it. In New York, terrible O-line, and he was terrible to the point we was like, hey, you're just going to be a backup for the rest of your career. And what was the fascinating thing is that he went to the Minnesota Vikings, but prior to that, I forgot the destination he was at prior to that. But he went to the Minnesota Vikings, and the Minnesota Vikings said, hey, Sam
49ers.
Darnold. Yeah. So he sat there over there with Kyle Shanahan, was able to learn a few more things. And the Minnesota Vikings, when he landed in Minnesota, they gave him good stability. The offensive line was good. You had a good running back in the backfield, and you had wide
Amazing
receivers.
OC,
And an
amazing
amazing
head coach.
OC. I think the only thing is that we got to see how this OC does in Seattle. I think that's going to be the
Yeah.
biggest thing because you're going to have to
Who is this?
you're going to have to draw up some things for Sam Darnold to where it's just going to be guys blaring wide open. Like it was just crazy how Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota had Justin Jefferson wide open, and he's the best receiver in the league. Crazy. Yeah, I
I ain't
think
know
they
they got Clint. Okay, that's decent. That's
yeah,
a
they got
decent
a
OC.
Kubiak. Yeah, he nice. So, but yeah, I think man, you go and get and improve that offensive line, and then go try to attack those skill positions
Why do
in the running
Iowa
back.
State always find 1 6'4" light skinned dude? Like every year, they got a 6'4" wide receiver that's light skinned every year.
Hey, it's Iowa, dog. It's Iowa. You know what's mixing over there.
We're taking all the half breeds. Come on,
Come on, bro. You know what's mixing over there. If you know, you know. We from Chicago and we know.
it's up the street,
Yeah, for
bro.
real. They be going right over there. Yeah, I gotta get out of the city a little bit. Oh, we know what you
I'm
going right
going out
to.
of town.
You know what I'm saying?
Yo, ass going to Dubuque, nigga.
For sure. But hey, man, y'all let us know y'all thoughts and everything on for all those teams that we discussed today, man. Stevo, you got anything left?
Oh man, this draft fastly approaching, y'all. And once again, I'm gonna say it again. Stop asking me, am I going? I'm not going to no goddamn Green Bay.
We can't go to Green Bay. We'll never make it
So
out.
I ain't getting no gas to that motherfucker. I'm not getting no hotel there. Nothing.
We can't go to Green Bay. We'll never make it out. I ain't gonna lie to you, man.
Slapping the nearest motherfucker near me. As soon as I cross the border.
Funny as ever. But hey, that is it from us today, y'all. Y'all let us know how y'all feeling about those prospects that we broke down about Arizona, the decision that the Cincinnati Bengals got to make, and some solutions for the Seattle Seahawks. But in the meantime, in between time, before y'all get out of here, make sure y'all hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well, man. We trying to hit that 500 sub count milestone, and then so we can start focusing on the 1K. But we appreciate y'all for tuning in. Y'all already know. We gonna catch y'all on the next one for sure.